All right, good morning, everybody. It is Jay again, and I have a very special video for you guys today. And actually, this is going to be part of a three-part series of videos, and they are going to be talking about the tier system and what fruit trees will survive where, and which fruit trees to start with, which fruit trees to put in year 2, and which fruit trees to put in year 3. So let me explain the tier system a little bit first for those of you that aren't familiar with it. And we use it here in Arizona as a means of picking which plants that you would start with when you start your yard, which plants you would put as you're a little bit more developed, and which plants you would put as you are a pro or as an expert. Now, I will tell you this, guys, as food is becoming shorter and shorter, I think I would start to think about planting some of my own food and some of my own fruit trees. And I think I've sort of hinted to this in some other videos for you guys. So now's the time, guys. Now is the time. We are not in the best situation in this country or in the world, so it is now time to think about getting yourself some fruit trees or some food that you can grow yourself. And I'll tell you guys, it's very, very easy if you will start in order and start with the fruit trees that we recommend. And then, like I said, as you get better and better at this, you can add more and more fruit trees to your selection there. But we're going to start off with 10 fruit trees that are very easy to grow. Now, these obviously are picked specifically for desert regions, and it's going to be maybe a little bit of a different situation depending on what part of the world that you are from, what part of the country that you are from. But this will give you a good basis or a good starting point. And it also allows you guys an opportunity to kind of make your list and get things planted, because this is a very good planting window. That's why I'm doing the video today, because you've got about another good 2 months worth of planting fruit trees before it starts to get hot. Now, does that mean that that is the end of your fruit tree planting? No, it's not. It's just you're going to switch into different plants as the heat comes on. And some of those are going to be actually in the tier 2 or tier 3 food system. Okay? Now, I'm not going to do those right away, so these videos are not going to be in order. They're going to be done as it is appropriate to plant those plants. That way you know that if you're out searching for fruit trees at a nursery, you know that it is the time to plant these type of plants. And then later in the year, it'll be another set or another 2 tier systems worth of plants. So I'm going to give you a nice definitive list today, and I'm going to give you a nice list of 10 fruit trees to begin with. Later on, we will do the rest, guys, so don't expect the next videos for a little bit, all right? And like I said, it's a perfect planting time, so now is the time to start making your lists and start picking up some of your food and fruit trees, because man, it's gotten busy lately, and I have a feeling this has to do with, obviously, some of the turmoil in the country right now, with money being kind of devalued and lots of food shortages coming up. So this is to kind of get you guys prepared a little bit also, not just enjoying some wonderful fruit trees as a hobby like we like to do, but it may be a necessity in the future that you grow a little bit of your own stuff. So I would say get ahead of the curve a little bit, and don't try to do this last minute like people tried to do it during COVID. I would say just get yourself prepared and start thinking about this as a possible lifestyle for you anyway. All right, guys, so that is enough of the intro here. So let's just get right into this selection of 10 fruit trees. Now, I will tell you that I'm going to go pretty fast over the first 5, because the first 5 are already in a video that I just did. So I will briefly go over those, and then we will talk about some more. And I'm also going to give them to you in order of strength, okay? So I'm going to give them to you in order of strength. And I'm also going to give you, or tell you, that we do about 3 varieties of each tree. And which 3 do we pick? Well, we pick the ones that work the best for us, and the ones that work the best for the Phoenix Valley, which is hot. Central Phoenix, okay? If you're looking for something that is a little bit colder, like say you're out in Queen Creek, well, all of these do also work for you there too. But you can experiment with some things that are maybe a little bit higher chill out there. But I'm going to give you the ones that are going to work for the majority of the people here, okay? 99% of you guys can probably keep these plants alive that I'm going to go over. Now, if you can't, then maybe just gardening is just not in the not in your books. Maybe it's a kind of a black thumb situation here, but I'm hoping that's not the case, because man, guys, in being able to enjoy some of your own fresh produce and some of the best quality that you can get, you cannot put a price on. And actually, as I'm standing right here, guys, if you want to back up, or if you want to watch the video before this, you can see that it wasn't too long ago, and you can already see that all this has grown in. So if you're not getting feet per year, if you're not getting, let's say 2 to 20 feet of growth on your fruit trees per year, then something is wrong. And usually what that is it comes down to kind of 3 things. 1, not enough food. Plants eat, guys. They eat just like we do. Not enough water. Okay. And people plant these things too deep. That is really sort of a issue here in Arizona, and they also sunburn the trunks. So as the heat comes on, I will get out here and I will wrap some of these trunks. I don't paint them. I wrap them, okay? That'll get them through the summer, no problem. But for some reason, people's trees just don't grow fast here. And a lot of it's just the care that they're giving them. They're buying poor quality trees. They're not watering them enough. They're not feeding them enough. So if we just take an example like this apricot here, you can see that we've already grown about 1.5 feet. So we've got about 8 or 9 more months worth of growing. So if it grows at that rate, we're going to get about 10 feet a year out of this apricot. That should be the way that all your fruit trees work, okay? So there's issues. It's really food, water, compaction. People's soil here is terrible. You have to loosen up the soil and add some amendments to get these things to grow at this rate. All right, guys, let's get into this fruit tree selection here, and let's see if we can get you guys a nice list of things to start looking for, because like I said, the buying is on. Holy moly, people are really kind of clearing trees out this year. I don't exactly know what's happened, but I think I do. All right, guys, let's get into it. Okay, so your number one is going to be your olive trees. So olive trees are pretty much the only fruit tree in Arizona that you could plant and not water it and have it still survive. Now, is it going to fruit nicely for you like this? No, it's probably not going to. It's going to lose all these little flowers, and you will probably never see fruit and think you have a fruitless olive. These things are never watered in Arizona, therefore they never make good fruit. So if you treat your olive tree like you do the rest of your fruit trees, you're going to get thousands. Every one of these sets for the most part, okay? And you get a nice big evergreen shade tree out of this with very little water use and provides fruit. Guys, I don't know how much better to give it to you than this. Not to mention, this one is right on the street. So you can see the street is right here. So people are always wondering kind of what to put in their front yard that'll take the brunt of that heat and look good all the time and be evergreen. Well, it's going to be olives, guys, because like I said, this is the strongest plant for the desert, period, as far as what I have found. Guys, remember, these are my opinions only. So olive trees, let me see if I can back up from him a little bit so you can kind of see how he looks. He's right here at the entrance to the nursery, and obviously is providing some cool and some shade for the plants that are behind it. So number one is going to be olive trees. Full sun, do not like the shade. Okay, so number two is going to be pomegranates. Pomegranates grow in the full sun. Do not put these things in the shade. They do not like it, and they will not produce fruit. Pomegranates are extremely easy. Guys, these are going to be a bush. A lot of people like to make these into a tree, but they are actually just a giant bush. Okay? Now, pomegranates come in a million different flavors. The ones at the store are gross. Those are going to be your wonderful pomegranates. They are going to be hard and seedy, okay? All the ones that I have around here, and I have a lot, like a lot. I collect pomegranates, and especially a lot of some of the weirder varieties. Pomegranates come in all flavors, guys, and I'll tell you some of the top picks or some of the top choices that I would pick. And you can see that I've got them in pots all along this back brick wall as part of the nursery. So this whole wall is blanketed in giant pomegranates. You can see that they cover this entire wall. Big trees in pots out here in the full sun. That wall back there is about 8 foot. So you can see that they are well above that 8-foot range. And they kind of come around the side, and they're gorgeous. Guys, pomegranates are a good filler plant. They're something that you could put in your yard to take up some space and also give you a little bit of humidity and shade. And they come in all flavors, like I said, so don't get stuck on just a few varieties, because they come in awesome flavors. Some of my favorites are going to be the Angel Red, the Parfionca. Those are both red. And then I've got a bunch that are flavored. So I've got some that taste like fruit punch. I've got some that taste like cherry Slurpee. I do the white one, the Eversweet. That is the sweetest of them all. And you just eat them fresh out of hand. I think pomegranates have been given a bad rap here because a lot of people plant the same kind, which is the wonderful. And when you plant the same plant over and over, it tends to get bugs. So people that have the wonderful variety, they'll get the leaf-footed bugs on their pomegranates, but all the dessert varieties, all the good ones, I guess, are not going to get that because they've not been planted so heavily here. So that bug's after one plant, and it's going to be that wonderful. So, like I said, pomegranates, bulletproof. These things, full sun, dessert varieties. It's a fall fruit. It goes dormant. So this is going to lose their leaf for just a couple months, and then it will leaf back out. So pomegranates is going to be number 2 as far as your strength goes also. And I would encourage you guys to plant a bunch of different varieties, especially some of these heritage varieties, because a lot of these are being lost. All right, number 2 is pomegranates. All right, so number 3 is going to be mulberries. And I have a little obsession with mulberries here because this is probably one of the best shade trees for Arizona in general. So let me see if I can get underneath this one. Look how much shade and cooling that they provide. Big leaves, just full of fruit, guys. Oh my gosh. There's going to be thousands and thousands and thousands of mulberries this year. This is probably one of our best years, but look how green and look how cool it is underneath a mulberry tree. Oh my gosh, nothing beats this. This covers a large span here at the back of the nursery. And this just so happens to be a Shangri-La. And your Pakistani is going to look a little bit different. It is going to be a little bit more narrow and upright. but it is also a enormous tree. Like, I don't think people know what they're kind of getting themselves into, but I hope they get themselves into it, because holy moly, that thing is tall. That's at least 40 feet. And that is a Pakistani, and this one's actually a multi-graft. So this one has 3 different kinds grafted onto one tree. This one has some white mulberries, some purple mulberries, and then it's got the black Shangri-Las that are also grafted onto this tree. So this tree actually provides 3 different kinds of fruit. And it's funny too, I have it literally planted, look how big it is, and I have it literally planted right next to the concrete, and no damage at all whatsoever, because they were planted correctly from the beginning. But big tree, guys. Big tree, full of fruit. Just absolutely full of fruit. I can barely even see the top of the tree. So mulberries, I mean, I have these all over the place. I have a whole bunch in the front yard too. Let's go take a look at those. But those are going to give you your main shade. And I actually have way more of these than I thought. So there's one right here also at the entrance to the nursery. So you've got the olive over here on this side, and then I've got a very nice Shangri-La that is right here at the entrance. Also beautiful fruit. Getting some fruit coming on. Let's see if I can back up here. Get this in frame. Beautiful trees. And then we'll walk around the side here. Okay, and here is another one here. Yeah, I kind of realize I have these all over the property. And man, do they really cool down the property. Look how big these get. So I've got this one actually planted underneath underneath a pine tree. So I've got a full-size, really big pine tree that goes really high up. Then I've got this huge, oh man, this thing's gotten big, mulberry, Shangri-La mulberry, and it pretty much provides all the shade for the afternoon on this side. Man, look at these. Look at these leaves, guys. Look how thick green this is. Oh man, you want to talk about shade and cooling and density. Man, where's the trunk at? There it is. Oh my gosh, 10 degrees, 20 degrees cooler underneath this tree. And the fruit, oh my gosh. The fruit. So if you guys want to try mulberries and you've never tried them before, they will be ripe here soon for people to try at the nursery. But giant trees, just nice big shade trees. So mulberries. All right, so as far as varieties I carry on the mulberries, this one here happens to be a white mulberry. So I carry the white mulberry, which to me tastes like, it's very sweet. It tastes like honey and honeydew melon, I guess, kind of combined. So the white are very, very sweet. I have some of those available. I've also got the Shangri-La, which is the one that I showed you with all the big leaves. Is going to be the Shangri-La. This one here, and then the purple Pakistani. So there are 3 mulberries, and really 3 varieties of most things that I carry that are going to be the best of the best and give you the best quality fruit and the most fruit. And then, like I said, from there you guys can experiment. All right, guys, so next up is going to be pears. Pears. And pears are not only an extremely tough plant, but they are also probably one of the most productive plants that I have here on the property. Pears, believe it or not. Oh my gosh, do they put on the fruit. These things are just absolutely loaded. Every one of these trees is loaded full of pears, and they're starting to swell. Now, this is a good fall fruit to add to your collection. Now, pears, typically here in the valley, have been sort of demonized, and I figured out what it was that was going on with these pears, okay? Or why more people don't plant pears or think that they can do pears here, because man, pears are one of my best fruits here and one of my best fruit trees. I mean, look at these things. They're just completely covered, and they can hold these. Look at these, just completely full of fruit, and they will hold these over the summer and ripen them in the fall. So as far as pears go, man, well, you want to talk about a nice upright tree? All right, so this is a pear tree, guys, and I'm gonna call this a baby pear because he's not that old and he's really not that big yet. Okay, so you can kind of see the size of the trunk compared to my hand here. Now let's go on up to the canopy. Of course, the sun's right there. That pear is almost as tall as the mulberry that is adjacent to it. So yeah, they work. Pears definitely work. They're definitely strong as far as being pretty much bulletproof. They put on fruit, and in the fall when you're not getting a whole bunch of other fruits. And I carry about 3 varieties of those. And like I said, it's going to be the best 3, because in my opinion, once you've sort of gotten the best 3, you maybe move on to other things. So I just put in another pear this year. I'm doing a little bit of yard work myself. And this is an Asian pear because this is one I'm missing. But I have 4 pear trees here on the property. And you can see he is completely coated in fruit. This Asian pear is going to really, really pump out the fruit this year, and is still flowering. It is still flowering. It's got all new growth. You can see up here at the top, and just flowers and fruit everywhere that you look. All right, so let's go back to figuring out why people didn't do pears over time or in Arizona. And I'll tell you exactly what it is, okay? Pears, when it's windy, pears burn black on their leaves. Do you see the edge of this leaf, how it's black? That's because we just had a windstorm. And that windstorm dries and burns the edges of the leaves. Well, what do people think it is here? Because they just don't know. They don't have enough pear trees to really observe this and watch and do it, okay? So it's wind burn. Wind burns new pear leaves. It burns a little bit of the edge black, okay? Does that hurt the tree at all whatsoever? No. It sort of needs to be pruned on its own, because these things grow like a weed, and you're going to end up with a giant pear tree anyway, and completely full of fruit. So the thinking here was, in Arizona, that was fire blight, okay? Fire blight is a fungus that affects blooms and fruit on pears. And I think that's what people were seeing. They were seeing the wind damage, and they were thinking that it was fire blight. So that's why nobody does pears here. But I do, because like I said, they're one of my best fruit trees, and they're not going to get fire blight. That's just how they burn. Now, if you'll notice the new leaves that are coming out after the wind, you can see that they are perfectly fine. So if it was anything else that was disturbing these, it would affect them all the time, or their new growth, and it wouldn't be just during winds, okay? So I've observed that during wind, pears will, oh my gosh, look how many are on this branch. You got a big flower set there, big flower set there, big fruit set there, fruit set there, huge fruit set there. You guys seeing all these pears, Asian pears, right? You guys love them. They're crunchy like apples. And man, are they productive. So pears, guys, get in there and get you some pears done, and know that they are very strong and they grow nice and upright for you guys, and a fall fruit. Okay, so citrus. Citrus is the last from the previous video, and I'm just going to touch on them real quick because I'm also a citrus fanatic. I love my citrus, okay? And I have probably 50 different varieties of just citrus trees, and available for the public also. But since I want to keep this a little bit shorter, I'm just going to briefly touch on a couple of my favorites, or ones that I enjoy eating. And one of them is going to be mandarins. I mean, I'm a huge, huge mandarin fan. These things are excellent. They are easy to pick. They are easy to peel. Let me get into this. Let's try to do it with one finger here. Easy to peel. These happen to be tango mandarins. Oh my gosh. Oh, this is going to be good. This is going to be good. So you can literally just peel these with one hand. Try to do this on camera. And you just pop those little pieces out of there. And there is nothing better. Guys, mandarins are excellent. They are sweet. They are easy to grow. They are seedless. And oh my gosh, kids, you won't even get any of these because your kids will eat them all. Okay, so mandarin's one of my favorite, but we grow everything: lemons, limes, oranges, kumquats, you name it, pomelos. But I'm just going to touch on a few. One would be the mandarins because they're one of my favorites. All right, and then another one of my favorites here is going to be, of course, the blood oranges. Blood oranges are also one of my favorites. I mean, look how dark red these get. So blood oranges, if you want them to get this red and be that nice juicy dark red inside, well, then you have to wait till after the winter, because the winter is going to make them red like that. Okay, so citrus, you get a lot of your sweetness and you get a lot of your flavors from after the cold. Now he is still hanging on to a few of these fruits. It is sort of at the last of his season. He is putting on all new growth again, and he will start flowering here, as you see, and putting on his new selection of fruit. But let's grab one of these and see if these are even any good anymore. They should still be. Let's take one of these and let's cut it open. Pause the video for a second here. All right, and there we go, guys. Yes, they are bloody inside. They are dark, dark red. Look at the color of that fruit. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful against its green leaves. So blood oranges, guys. Blood oranges are one of my favorites, and they taste to me very much like a very sweet orange mixed with a raspberry, because it's very difficult to grow raspberries here. And just look at that. Just look at that color, guys. You can make some beautiful, beautiful orange juice out of this. Let's give her the old squeeze test we like to do. Oh my gosh. Oh, guys. Guys. Oh, look at that. Look at the color of that bloody orange juice. Guys, I'm telling you. You can't buy something like this. I mean, you can buy something like this, but try buying blood oranges at the store, and they're always going to be soft because they've always been frozen, it seems like, through transportation. So you never get good blood oranges at the store until you start to grow them yourselves. But guys, all right, that's all I'm going to say about that. I think that pretty much speaks for itself. All right, so we're starting with the new ones, guys. So number six is going to be Jujubes. And Jujubes come in all flavors and sizes and varieties, just like everything else does. I would say I would recommend, if I do any of those, I would do the Indian thornless Jujube or some type of thornless Jujube. And you will thank me later for that, because Jujubes are thorny and thorny. In fact, I don't have any here because they are too thorny. Now I may end up planting an Indian thornless Jujube, like I said, because it will have a little bit less thorns. But when you get into some of these thorny plants, guys, they get they get pretty nasty. So I have a very close example here for you. This is a key apple. This happens to be it's called a key apple, kai apple. It's not an apple at all, and it actually puts on a little fruit that tastes like an apricot. But you can see how thorny these plants get. Now, the jujubes are going to be a little bit smaller thorns, but a lot more of them. These, I can kind of at least see them or pull them out if I get into them. So jujubes, guys, not saying that that's not a good one. It's just, it happens to be sort of a liability here at the nursery, and it's not exactly one of my favorite fruits. A lot of people love them, so don't go off my opinion, but I tend to like things that are just a little bit sweeter, a little bit crunchier. They sort of taste like a little dry, dehydrated apple, I guess is sort of the best way I can describe jujubes. Not one of my favorites, but doesn't mean you can't plant those guys. You plant what you eat, right? And so I would rather have some of these other things, but that doesn't mean that you might not like to have jujubes. So put that on your list. And there's Indian thornless, and probably my favorite two of the Chinese varieties, there's going to be the honey jar and the sugar cane. So I would sort of focus on those if you're wanting them just slightly sweeter. Look at the citrus blooms this year. Holy moly. Moly. We're going to get the fruit this year. So jujubes, guys, put that down on your list. Just because I don't have it here doesn't mean that you can't add it to your yard. All right, guys, peaches. Peaches. Now you're digging on my heartstrings, okay? Now you are getting into my land of favorites. So peaches. Peaches are probably the best stone fruit that grows here in Arizona. There are many varieties available. One of my favorites, of course, is going to be the Florida Prince. This is one that I sort of brought to the valley before we started growing them. You never even heard of that tree. So we started to grow them and get them to produce. And now this is one of the most popular trees that are sought out in Arizona is going to be the Florida Prince, because these grow feet per year, many feet per year. So I'll give you a good example right here. This one has just woken up a month ago, right? So we've got almost 2 feet of growth on this one already. So 2 feet of growth. Remember, we got 8 to 9 months of growing season. So these should get in the area of 8, 12, 15 feet tall and be ready to produce for you next year. Now, if you don't take the fruit off them the first year, and all fruit trees, you got to take the fruit off the first year, you may not have a fruit tree at the end of the year if you leave the fruit on it, because it needs to root into the ground, and people are not getting the importance of this. So a lot of these trees, I'll just pull the fruit off myself so that you don't have to do it. So customers don't even know that I've done that, and now it gives them a better tree in the end, and then they can let it fruit on their property. Will they fruit? Yes. Luckily, I have all of these fruiting in the ground. So it gives you good examples of which ones are obviously the best. Now, I'll show you a big peach, the big Florida Prince, in the back that kind of made these so famous. All right, so this one's big, like big. And I've actually pruned back a lot on this tree. I've really kind of hacked this tree back. But you want to talk about the fruit. This thing is soaked in fruit. There is more fruit on this tree than one could ever eat or preserve or do something with. This tree is productive. And I've also noticed that they've been planting some of these in the orchards now and getting rid of some of the old varieties of peaches that kind of suck. You know, there are some that just aren't that great. Thousands on this tree. So I invite people over in May to kind of try these and see if this is something that you're wanting. I can't even get up to all of them. There's at least 1,000 peaches on this tree. And especially when you get over here into the sun. Over here on this sun side, I mean, it's more peaches than it is actual leaves. It is soaked. Absolutely soaked in fruit. And they will all get that way, and especially if you stick with some of these varieties that I'm telling you about. So this is a Florida Prince, way up into my power wire there. Need to get him kind of trimmed out of there. Provides a lot of afternoon shade for back here for all my tropicals that are going to be underneath them. You know, like your chicus sapotes, and your mangoes. Well, if you ever want to get to these type of plants, which incidentally will be in the next video, the tier 2 video, well, then you're going to have to plant some of these other ones. So they're required to get this food forest going. If you want to have it easy, if you want to struggle, well, then you'll put all tropical trees. But if you want to do this correctly and get sort of a jump start, if you'll go in order on a lot of this stuff, then it will do a lot better for you. Okay, peaches, let's cover a couple more real quick. All right, so let's get under here. Now, let's say you want a peach that tastes like ice cream or frozen yogurt. If you put it in the freezer for a little bit, well, then that's going to be your tropic snow white peach. And holy moly, if you think that Florida Prince was productive, you should see this thing, because this thing has probably 50 feet or 50 peaches per branch. I have never seen a tree this loaded full of fruit and full of peaches. Never. And I've been doing this a while. Look up there. There is probably well over 100, 150 on these little branches. So this thing is being obviously pulled to the ground. I am going to have to thin him heavily. So it's one of those situations of careful what you ask for, guys. I know you're going to get one peach the first year and then 3 peaches the next year, but then it's going to be 15 and 20 and 25 and 400 and 500 and 600. And now you're not going to know what to do with all of them. I don't know how well this is going to pick up because the sun's at the back of me, but I've never seen anything like this before in my life. Never. This is absurd, absolutely absurd with fruit. Okay, so number 1, Florida Prince. Number 2, Tropic Snow. If you're wanting a white peach that has no acidity and it just tastes like pure sugar / ice cream. I love to put these in the freezer for a little bit, get them almost frozen, and then get them out and eat them. But oh my gosh, you guys. Okay, I think that speaks for itself. Okay, and then my third selection on peaches here is going to be the Galaxy White Peach. So this is one you're going to see showing up, I'm sure, at the nursery soon because, well, I do videos. And it sells trees, which is good because we want people to start doing their own thing, right? So, you think the other two were full of peaches? Okay, we have the same problem here. So these are going to be flat, white peaches. So imagine taking the Tropic Snow and squashing it down to a bagel type peach. And that's what you're gonna get with the Galaxy White Peach. And you can see a lot of his fruit is down here on a lot of the older wood. But you want to talk about productive too. These are equally productive and you're going to be thinning them also. And kids love these. These are the little saucer peaches. The little bagels, except they're not little, they're big and they're productive. And peach trees just look so good. And they grow so well here. So why more people don't have peach trees to have fresh peaches, I'm not sure. But put this high on your list if you do not have peach trees. And like I said, most people do the 3 best, which are the 3 I just mentioned, and then why bother with the rest? Move on to a different plant. You have other selections. Are there other peaches that will work here? Yeah, they're not as great, In fact, they're not anywhere near as productive. So the desert gold, does it work here? Yeah. Eva's pride, sure. Early grand, sure. May pride, sure. Okay. But who wants 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th? Right? All right, guys. That's peaches. Okay, so we are getting finished here. We are on number 8. So number 8 is going to be sort of a conglomeration, sort of a mix match of a bunch of different trees. And this is so you guys can sort of maybe pick what you like or what you might like to add. But just know that these are all full sun trees. And they are all going to wake up right about now as we start to get warmer, because these are all heat-loving trees. And guess what we need more of, guys? Heat-loving trees in Arizona, right? And ones that are relatively easy to grow, okay? So this is going to be, I'm going to throw like, how many do I have here? Sort of 5 on 1, okay? And I'm going to lump these all in, and I'm going to show you them all real quick. And just know that these aren't exactly fruit trees, but they do provide something. So you're either eating the leaf or you're eating the pod on these. And I didn't want to do a separate video on just these, so I am going to sort of try to lump them all in one. And number 1 is going to be a carob tree. Carob tree is going to be a fruit pod that is almost a replacement for chocolate. So it is a chocolate substitute. And if you guys want to do a little more research on these, you can. I'm just going to briefly list them and also tell you that there are multiple varieties of these also. Okay, so there's multiple varieties of everything. There's going to be a good version and there's going to be okay versions. So this is the sweet version. This has a lot of sap in the spine of the pods. So that makes them very, very sweet. And this also happens to be a female, so you're going to get the pods, and you don't need males around because these all set without a male in the region. So these are all self-fertile carobs. So carob. The next one kind of lumped into number 8 there is going to be moringa. Moringa or drumstick tree. And you can see that he's already put on some nice pods up there, actually. Winter is supposed to kind of kill these or knock these back. But once you get them established and you have a good yard for them, they're actually going to bloom over the winter time and set pods, like you can see the new ones right up there. So this flowers and is a healthy tree. You can pretty much eat the whole tree, and it will provide some nice shade for you too. Okay, so we're gonna lump this one in there with carobs and moringas. Nice shade tree, extremely healthy fruit or food. Okay, and the next 3 is sort of lumped in that list, and they all happen to be real close to each other, and they all happen to be right here at the brunt of the driveway, right where the heat is from the afternoon sun. One of those is going to be jamun. Jamun is a plant from India, and it grows really well here in the full sun. In fact, it's going to be a weed. In fact, that's going to be an enormous tree. So I have a feeling that that is going to be mulberry type large once he gets going, because it's already grown, I don't know, what is that, probably 8 or 9 feet. And I just put it in last fall. So you want to talk about a fast growing shade tree, fruit tree, is going to be your jamun. And I guess sitting right next to it here is going to be one of your others, and it is going to be curry. And curry leaf tree, let me tell you, can take the heat. So I actually use these as blockers or filters to provide a little bit of help and shade to other plants. So I'll kind of stage these in front of other plants, and the curry will take the brunt of it and shade anything that you put behind it. Now these are just waking up. So we've got our new growth here coming on, and they will start to put on some berries and some flowers here. You can kind of see them right there in the middle. Curry leaf, excellent plant, full sun, provides food. You can cook with the curry leaves. Pretty much evergreen, I guess, all year. They don't do much during the winter time, but as the heat comes on, these are going to really take off and start to grow, which is good because nothing likes the heat, right? Including us. So curry, oh, I have one planted back there too. I don't know why. Okay, so curry in a pot, and then I have one actually in the ground right behind it. And this takes just the brutality of the front. And you can see he is already at the top of the fence too, so he is at the 8 or 9 foot point. And then while I'm right here next to this one, I'm going to throw in the neem tree. And the neem tree is a little bit more on the cold sensitive side, and it's going to defoliate and lose most of its leaves during the winter, but this is a very strong summer plant. And remember, that's the stuff that we need, strong summer plants. So neem tree, not only does it provide shade, but it also provides neem oil, which you guys know is extremely beneficial. Antifungal, antibacterial. One of the best plants that you can get is a neem tree. Okay, guys, we are finishing up here. What are we at? Number 9, apricots. Okay, so apricots. These are kind of one of my favorite trees in the fact that they kind of grow kind of narrow and up, and then they'll open up as much wider tree. And so now you're getting a lot of shade from this. And let's call that a shade tree, I guess, guys, because what is a shade tree? I guess anything you can walk under. So anything at above a 6 foot level, I guess, would be considered, a shade tree. So this one here is planted right next to my fence here, and he grows up and then canopies over a large area of my walkway here. You can see that I've got trying to achieve a full canopy, a full tunnel through here. So in the afternoon, as you walk by, you'll have all these trees that kind of bend over to you, and you'll be able to have, pick things that are kind of right in front of you, like these starfruit here. So the goal is tunnels, obviously, tunnels, and having stuff that you can pick that is right above you too. So apricots, guys, one of my favorite fruits, very easy to grow. And also, if you guys could see the fruit on these things, I can't zoom up there, but they're covered. They're absolutely covered. So which ones do I recommend? Well, Gold Kiss #1, if you actually want apricots and consistently. And then there's 2 that are very good, and they're apriums. So apriums are a cross between an apricot and a plum. So they're very much like an apricot, but they're extremely juicy like a plum, okay? And I carry 2 varieties of those. One is going to be a Flavor Delight aprium, which is what this happens to be. And I carry the Cotton Candy aprium. And as far as the true apricot goes, it's going to be the Gold Kissed. I don't sell the Katy. I'm not into alternate bearing trees. I'm into fruit every year. I'm into consistency. I'm into reliability. I'm into easy. I'm into full sun. Right, guys? So I'm hoping you guys sort of share those same experiences with me here. And just know that the apricot trees in particular this year look amazing. Got some beautiful apricots and apriums available this year. They are just looking good. Okay, so apricots are on there. And last one, or second to last one, because I forgot this one somehow. I was tired this morning, I guess, when I was creating my list here. But let's put this one as number 10, and I'm going to give you number 11 also. So actually you get a couple bonus plants in there now too. So apples, guys. Apples. Now, what kind of apples, you would say? Because obviously Honeycrisp apples aren't going to work here, right? No, they're not going to work here. You'll have a tree, but you won't have fruit. And I don't consider that successful. I consider it successful when these things produce fruit heavily every year without issues. Look how pretty these apple trees are. Some of them have ruffled leaves on the edges. Some are straight leaves. That's how I can tell the varietal differences on these. So I carry 3 varieties of apples, the ones that work. Now, you may say, well, you know, people sell all kinds of stuff here. Why would they sell it if it doesn't work or fruit here? That's a pretty one, right? Well, because things are, 1, people don't care, and 2, things are kind of regional. So they're going to send stuff that goes to Arizona. Everything's going to be the same. So when places order from like California to fill a nursery, well, they're going to send stuff to Prescott. They're going to send stuff to Flagstaff. They're going to send stuff to Phoenix. They're going to send stuff to Tucson. Okay, so it may work for some of you, may not work. Nah, they don't care. People are into selling trees. I'm into successful trees, ones that work. I don't want to hear in the future you guys are not getting fruit, because you got to remember I get back feed from customers. So I carry 3 varieties of apples. They are all gorgeous and they all work here, and just know they're going to be on the lighter side of things, meaning no red apples. You're not getting red apples in Arizona, okay? You're just not getting them. So apples, I consider successful if they are like the pears I showed you and that full of fruit. And that's the ones that I carry. All right, guys, the last one, and you are free to do your day. Last one's going to be figs, guys. Figs, 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 figs. And it's sort of at the bottom of the list of the strong plants because of the leaf size. It has to do with the leaf size. These have enormous leaves. They put out enormous leaves in the spring, and they tend to fry a little bit over the summertime. So are figs all full sun plants? No, they're not all full sun plants. Meaning you're going to get better fruit quality if some of these get a little bit of afternoon shade help, okay? And one of those is going to be the Tiger Panache, or the strawberry jam fig, which happens to be my favorite fig. So are you going to get the best in the full sun afternoon? No, you're going to get the best quality figs on this particular fig tree in the afternoon shade, because it is a variegated tree and fig. Okay, so not exactly full sun. Now, are there some that are full sun? Yes, absolutely there are, okay? Some of my favorites are going to be, obviously, the Tiger Panache, #1. Second is probably going to be the Nixon Peace Fig, which are these giant honey figs. I like the Peter's Honey. I think that one is extremely reliable and productive every year. But then there's Mission, there's Cadota, Violet de Bordeaux. That's a white Marseille. I can tell by its leaves. So figs, guys, as far as figs go and fig varieties, there are thousands, and people get obsessed with just this group of plants. Okay, people collect just figs. So this is one like citrus where I'm gonna sort of let you go bananas on, and know that there are multiple varieties of those that will work. All right, guys, that is it for this video. So this is the Tier 1 fruit tree system. These are the trees to start with when you are starting out. These are going to be productive and give you stuff all year long easily, okay? Can you do avocados here? Yes, you can do avocados here, but those will be in a different video. Those are actually in the Tier 3 system. So guys, expect a couple more videos, a Tier 2 and a Tier 3 on fruit trees, but know that this is a good place to start, and you got about another good 2 months to shop and pick out these trees. So I'm only warning people because we've been so busy lately, and that's never been like this. So get your plants and trees found and get them at least selected, even if you don't plant them right now, even if you plant them in the fall, because when you come in the fall, there'll be nothing left, okay? People have doubled down on this. All right, guys, that is it. Thank you for watching the video. Please subscribe, Please like if you like this video. Know that this is the tier 1 system, and there will be a couple more videos coming. Tier 2 and tier 3. Are they going to be right away? No, they're going to be spaced out by when it is appropriate to plant and do those type of plants. Okay, so your tier 2 video will probably come here in a couple months, probably around May, when that stuff is looking good and awake and fruiting. All right, guys, so if you made it with me, we got through an hour here, and I hope I gave enough good information here for you guys to at least get started, because it may get bad here soon. And even if it doesn't, this is still probably something most people should consider doing. All right, guys, hit that thumbs up button, and please subscribe for more fruit tree videos coming. And just know that there is something to do every point of the year. All right, guys, thanks for watching.